Declaration of Independence. The first person is Kate Kiesler. She is the former state president of the New York State Society for Children of the American Revolution.
Yes!
Yes! Yes, Kate!
Right. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's okay, the
Closer.
microphone.
Okay. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
I'm proud to introduce the Vice Chairman of the Bowling Green Association and a leader within the Turkish American community, Ibrahim Katulis.
Ibrahim! Ibrahim Katuli!
Thank you everyone for coming. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by the Creator within certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instilled among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for the light and the transcendent causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are consumed.
Yes!
Yes! Proud of you!
Our next reader is Eagle Scout Antonio Crispin from Troop 177 in Richmond Hills, Queens. Thank you.
That's the best that.
Necessity in the first charges. To win a long train of abuses and interpretations pursuing invariably the same objective grievances are designed to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such is the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is repeated injuries and interpretations, all having in a direct object to the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused to assent to the laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their orientation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, be utterly neglected to attend them.
I have the pleasure of introducing another great leader of the Greek community, who is the chair of the Greek Independence Day Parade, who is one of the leaders of the Federation, who is involved in so many other activities inside and outside of the Greek community, and responsible for 2 beautiful new plaques for these flagpoles. It's my great pleasure to introduce Lou Katos.
Representation and legislatures
denied. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of the public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such desolations to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsion within.
The next reader is Elliot Hamilton.
Elliot Hamilton
is an 8th-generation descendant of William Floyd, who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence in 1776.
Yeah!
He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance.
I'm proud to introduce Len Ugaju, who is the president of the African American Council of New York City.
Thank you, Arthur. He has kept among us in times of peace, standing armies without consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving the assent of their acts to pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, and for imposing taxes on us without our consent.
Our next reader is Staff Sergeant Seamus Fennessy. Seamus is with the Fighting Irish Regiment, the Fighting 69th. New York City.
False law and destroyed self-government, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever.
It's my pleasure to introduce retired Marine officer and professional writer and very strong advocate for Hercules Mulligan, Brian O'Leary.
Brian.
He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of lawfare is the undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
The ninth reader is an Irish actress based here in New York City, Joanna Kinsella.
Hi, Joanna. Hi, Joanna.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this Irish rainy day. Petitions rejected and separation justified. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitions for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, peace in friends.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Of the statue.
Before I introduce our very special final speaker and the dramatic ending of the declaration, two things. There is a movie being premiered about July 9, 1776, for free in Battery Park on a large screen at 8 p.m. I hope many of you will stay around for that. Also, after we have the final reading, we'll raise both flags together and the national anthem will be sung. I'd like to add something to the program that I think will be the most memorable moment. Those brave, patriotic New Yorkers at this exact moment, 250 years ago, were not standing exactly here. They were surrounding where the fountain is today and the statue of George III stood. I hope we will all take a moment to go into the park after the raising of the flag and the national anthem, and a few moments of silent tribute surround the fountain in their memory.
Yes.
And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Abby Suckle, President of Culture Now and one of the notable New Yorkers today.
Yeah!
Gabby. We love you, Gabby.
Okay. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Yeah! 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 Drop the statue!
In a moment, we will raise the flags and have the national anthem. But I just wanted to say a couple of parting words before we do that and go into the park. When we leave here tonight, let us all carry forward the spirit of those who walked these streets before us 250 years ago. Together, they honored history. Together, they celebrated liberty. Together, they inspired future generations. May God bless the city of New York. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much for coming, and we're going to have the national anthem sang by Ailish Ferry, followed by the flag raising.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Arthur.
All right, so will everyone who's willing, please come join us in the middle of the park for a few moments.
Thank you.